And welcome to HS Game Time Live. I'm your host, Pep Fernandez, and we've got all the scores and highlights from Week 4 of the high school football season. A lot of the scores still coming in, and some shockers, some close games. And Angel, let's go right to the big board and get people up to speed on what is going around the inland area tonight. Tesoro and Chaparral, the Pumas, suffering their first loss of the season, and they were so close to picking up a huge win on the road, but they come up just short. 17-14, the final score. Santiago at Upland. We're going to get that score on the board, but final score, Upland wins 45-41. Bill Brooks went on Twitter with the hashtag HSGTFB, and on Twitter, Bill Brooks told us, Santiago robbed by home cooking line judge. Michael Dar clearly went in with 30 seconds left, but they call the ball down at the 6-inch line. Santiago loses 45-41, your final score. Thanks, Bill Brooks, for keeping us up to date. Mike Tice, I doubt it's the former Minnesota Vikings head coach, but a guy named Mike Tice on Twitter also giving us that final 45-41, Santiago losing at Upland. But a battle there, the Sharks nearly pulling off a huge win. The Sharks nearly pulling off a huge win at Upland. Another score that's going to jump out at you is North battled Rancho Cucamonga. 17-14 your final score, so the Huskies come up 3 short down at RCC, and we'll have those highlights coming up later in the show. But once again, a reminder that if you're on Twitter or Facebook, so is HSGT. You can find HS Game Time and let us know, give us your opinion. If you were at a game, we'd love to hear about it. Tell us what you thought. And maybe you have a final score, some stats you can also pass along. We would love to hear from you. All right, back here in the studio, we're going to start the highlights with what we're dubbing it, the Wood Road Rumble. We're talking about King High School taking on Citrus Hill, and just about 2 miles separate the two schools, but they have never played. But King and Citrus Hill battling in Week 4 of the high school football season. And let's take you out there, Angel, for those highlights at Citrus Hill High School. It's our Hemet Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram game of the night. All the action tonight from our good friends out there in Hemet, your hometown dealer. We get right to the highlights. Trevor Hodge, the quarterback. He's going to find, first, though, they were very, very pumped for this one. Trevor Hodge, the Deuce, playing quarterback, hooks up with KJ Young to move the chains there for the Hawks. And then later, it's getting late, time for bed, put on your PJs. PJ Walker with a nice run here, keeps the legs moving. And he's also fired up after that big run for Citrus Hill in the first quarter. And that would set up this. Hodge to KJ Young. Down the sideline he goes, in for the score. 7-zip, Citrus Hill on top. King looking to move the ball. It's Dylan Halsey, the former Citrus Hill student. He transferred to King. He's got a nice run there for the Wolves. Now to the second quarter, same drive. Blake Bachman boots the field goal for King, and they're on the board, making it a 7-3 ball game. Later in the second, Hodge goes back to his favorite target, Young. And this one will go for 78 yards. Young does the rest all the way to the paint. And that makes it 14-3, Citrus Hill on top. Then later, how about some Hawks defense? Tony Yim, Marcel Barnes, and Melvin Williams all coming up on this play for the Citrus Hill defense. King had a tough time getting past that Hawks stingy defense. They bring him down there for the big stop in the backfield. Then later, King punting. Young back to receive for the Hawks, and he's going to bust out. Looks like they've got him all bottled up back there, but Young is going to break free. And you know what? It's never good when the kicker has to make the tackle. It always ends bad. Runs him over. Young with the big return. Let's have another look. It's never good when the kicker has to make the tackle. And then later on that drive, fourth goal, Citrus Hill looking for the end zone, but the Wolves turn them away. Big stop there by King. But later in the second quarter, Citrus Hill back on the attack. Hodge to Justin Clarkston there for the big game. Then Hodge is going to call his own number on the keeper, goes in for the touchdown. They led 21-3 at halftime, and Citrus Hill goes on to win the battle on Wood Road. The Wood Road Rumble, we're calling it. 49-10, your final score. So Citrus Hill, number 3 in the latest HS Game Time rankings. They get the win against King, 49-10. And that place was packed. It was a great atmosphere for high school football tonight. Now moving on, we're going on to Hemet taking on Moreno Valley. Moreno Valley looking to bounce back after a tough home loss to Paloma Valley last week. Let's go to those highlights, Angel. And early on, it was hard to say who was going to capitalize on some turnovers. That's Hemet punting. And Bulldogs, they will recover down deep inside Moval territory. But Moval, they would step up with a defensive play of their own here. His name is Nuni Nashia, and he's got the interception and the big return for the Vikings. Then Hemet's number 7, Garrett Denbaugh. He's going to repay the favor, takes that tip pass, and he's got the interception for Hemet. And a lot of big hits in this game, some good defense. Moval's Seiko Ania, I hope I'm saying that right, Palate with a big hit. And then it's James Trinidad for the Bulldogs coming up with a big hit here on the far sideline. Bang! Some big hits in this one. They're playing physical, but the Vikings would finally get on the board. Palate with a touchdown. That made it 7-zip Moreno Valley. And we're going to end the highlights with a Waki Suliafu big-time hit. He's a great safety for Moreno Valley. Goes flying around to the ball. Plus, you got to love his hair. Troy Polamalu style right there. Moreno Valley and Hemet, we're still searching for a final score on that one. But as we told you right there, it was 7-zip at halftime. So points were far and few in that battle. All right, Rancho Cucamonga and North. We told you, the Huskies, they had Rancho Cucamonga where they wanted them. Rancho Cucamonga won the top teams in the Inland Division, and North battling them at RCC. It was a close game. Let's take you to those highlights. We're walking down the steps from the Press Enterprise, and good to see Marcus Baugh back for the Huskies. He had a concussion, then he was kind of feeling sick, so he sat out a couple games, but he's back. Hauls in the reception there to move the chains for the Huskies. And then later, North, Shaquille Jones coming up with the interception. Those Huskies know how to play some defense. And then later, North going on the attack. They've now got the ball. Quarterback Joseph Garcia rolls out, and he finds Tavita Samuilu. He goes in for the score, and North is on the board first, 7-zip. But Rancho Cucamonga, they would answer. Their quarterback, Adam Friedrichsen, to Chris Hawkins, in for the score. That would tie the game at 7 apiece. And as we mentioned, the final score in this one, Rancho Cucamonga just a little bit better tonight against North. Final score of 17-14. So back here in the studio, wow, North played them tough at RCC, nearly had one of the best teams in the Inland Division, nearly knock them off. That was one of the big scores tonight. Angel, let's go back to the big board. Check out some of the scores from week 4 of the high school football season. As we take a tour, you can still see that some of these scores are still coming in. That Beaumont-Yucaipa one, I believe, well, I can tell you for sure, Beaumont won in overtime. So Yucaipa suffers its first loss of the season. I believe it was 42-41 in overtime. On the ticker at the bottom of the screen, so just keep your eyes open for that. But Beaumont did win in overtime. So Beaumont and Yucaipa in a battle. Heritage, they're back to their winning ways, 45-30 in a shootout with Rialto. Rubidoux, they were undefeated this season, like Yucaipa, and they go on the road to Taquitz, and man, Taquitz, 50-0, your final score. How about Arlington? Another big shutout for them. Arlington all over Vista del Lago, 41-0 in that one. And Cajon taking on Corona. We will have highlights of this one. We're going to try to get them on for the live show here tonight. If not, definitely on Saturday for the scouting reports. All right, back here in the studio, we're going to keep the highlights and scores rolling in just a moment. But first, we've got to tell you about KCal Rocks, 96.7 FM there, your home for the San Diego Chargers this season. So check out Ryan Matthews, Phillip Rivers, and all the Lightning Bolts all season long on KCal Rocks, 96.7 FM. Every Wednesday morning, I go on KCal and we talk high school football, and we kind of break down the big games for that Friday. So here's what went down on this Wednesday.
Almost as fun as sports.
Yeah, that's right. Whoa, Nelly, we got to introduce our audience. Pep Fernandez!
Of Press Enterprise fame, and we have a pep rally with him at this time each Wednesday. Good morning, Pep.
Good morning. I missed you guys.
We miss you too.
We miss you too.
The big high school game this week is King of Riverside taking on Citrus Hill in Paris. They're on the same road, on Wood Road, so we're calling it the Wood Road Rumble.
Oh, I like it.
They're only 2 miles apart, but they've never played before, so it's brother versus brother, neighbor versus neighbor, so it's going to be awesome. Cool. Yeah, and the other big one is Murrieta Valley's taking on Elsinore, and Murrieta Valley just went up to Juneau, Alaska, And
wow, that's a road game.
Yeah, and they won 59-0, 59 zip. So they went up there, they saw some bears, they caught some salmon, and they came away with a huge win.
Can you imagine having that road trip and if you would have lost, if it would have been the other way, 59-0, you lost?
That's a long trip home.
Oh my God.
Almost as fun as sports.
Yes. That's right. Whoa, Nelly, we got to introduce our audience. Pep Fernandez.
Of Press Enterprise fame, and we have a pep rally with him at this time each Wednesday. Good morning, Pep.
Good morning. I missed you guys.
We missed you too.
We missed you too.
The big high school game this week is King of Riverside taking on Citrus Hill in Paris. They're on the same road, on Wood Road, so we're calling it the Wood Road Rumble.
Oh, I like it.
They're only 2 miles apart, but they've never played before, so it's brother versus brother, neighbor versus neighbor, so it's gonna be awesome. Cool. Yeah, and the other big one is Marietta Valley's taking on Elsinore, and Marietta Valley just went up to Juneau, Alaska. And
wow, that's a road game.
Yeah, and they won 59-0, 59 zip. So they went up there, they saw some bears, they caught some salmon, and they came away with a huge win.
Can you imagine having that road trip and if you would have lost, if it would have been the other way, 59-0, you lost?
That's a long trip home.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and you know what? Call me old-fashioned, but it's not a trip to Alaska until someone gets chased by a bear, which happened to one of the players' dads.
No.
Like, yeah, true. That's what they told me. Yeah, so they do. And what I found out was because they were in Juneau. And Anchorage, I guess, is like 8 hours apart. So Juneau's actually closer to Seattle. So you can go to Seattle and then maybe drive.
And welcome back to HS Game Time Live. Still on tap tonight for highlights. We've got the Holy War. Notre Dame taking on Aquinas. As I mentioned, we're trying to get those Cajon versus Corona highlights onto the show as well. Chris Ercole back from his adventure to Hemet. He's got Palo Verde Valley from Blythe, right? All the way from Blythe, taking on West Valley and Hemet. And also, we mentioned that Rubidoux-Taquitz game, and Taquitz blew out Rubidoux tonight. We've got the highlights. So Chris Ercole standing by with your Hemet highlights. We'll be right back on HS Game Time Live.
We're here with DeAndre Reed from the Minnesota Vikings. You're watching HS Game Time Live. Go. We're here with DeAndre Reed from the Minnesota Vikings. You're watching HS Game Time Live. Go Vikes.
Welcome back to HS Game Time Live. The highlights will be coming shortly, and as always, we're on Facebook and Twitter. HSGTFB is the hashtag. We've had a lot of people going on there already giving us scores, updates on games, their opinion. We love the opinions, too. The guy from, Bill Brooks, telling us about the Santiago Upland game. Said the sideline judge was giving Upland some home cooking over there because Santiago thought they might have had the game-winning touchdown in the final seconds, but they said he was down just short of the goal line around this, around the 6-inch yard line. That's how close Michael Dar was for Santiago to pull off an upset at Upland. So go ahead and hit us up on Twitter, hit us up on Facebook. But first, Angel, let's go to the big board and recap some of those scores from tonight. We'll just go right down the row. Rancho Verde coming up big at Valley View, 48-6 your final score. The Mustangs were in Las Vegas last week. They picked up a win there in Sin City. Now they're back, and they continue to roll as the Rancho Verde wins 48-6. Poly, they were in a battle with Canyon Springs. Canyon Springs playing well this season, but the Poly Bears, they bear down 22-12 the final score. They are a winner. Cajon, maybe a surprise. I don't know. Cajon on the road at Corona, 34-28 the final. So how about them Cowboys? They win tonight. Marietta Valley and Elsinore. You know, they went all the way up to Juneau, Alaska. They won 59-0 this past Saturday night. They come all the way back home, and they took on a very good Elsinore team. And look at that. The Nighthawks, 39-8 the final score, so they remain undefeated on the season. Paloma Valley also remaining perfect this year so far. 41-30 your final score against Temecula Valley. Moreno Valley, the final score is in, 28-0. So the Vikings tossed a shutout. We just saw those highlights, and we'll see them again a little bit later in the show. Rancho Cucamonga taking on North. We just had those highlights as well. 17-14 the final. The Huskies come up 3 short down at RCC. Taquitz, those highlights, hopefully coming in a couple minutes. 50-0 your final score. Heritage in a shootout with Rialto, 45-30 your final in that one. Our good friend Matt Palmer on Twitter telling us that Rialto got a couple points late in the game as he described them some garbage time to make it a little closer than maybe that appears, but 45-30 the final score with Heritage. The Wood Road Rumble, as we were telling you about, only 2 miles separate the two schools down Wood Road, and they've never played before. King and Citrus Hill hosting the Wolves, and Citrus Hill living up to their billing as the number 3 team in the HS Game Time rankings. 49-10 your final score. So Citrus Hill remains undefeated, and they get the big win. Arlington and Vista Del Lago. Arlington tosses the shutout against the Ravens. 41-0 your final score. We're expecting highlights of this one as well. And as always, if we don't get them on the live show tonight, we will definitely get them on the Saturday show for sure, the Saturday Scouting Report, which you can check back with HS Game Time. Saturday about 2 o'clock is our estimated time of arrival for the Scouting Report. Chaparral at Tesoro nearly pulls off the upset. Tesoro escapes 17-14, but the Pumas, definitely a team to be reckoned with in the Inland Division. They're showing that they can hang with some of the best teams in Southern California. And you know Tesoro's good because when you print out the roster on Max Preps, it's like 4 pages long. They got like 110 kids down there in Santa Margarita. The Holy War. We're going to have those highlights in just a moment as we recap the scores from tonight. Aquinas 28-10. They win. And that's probably a good time to jump back into the highlights because we're going to have those next. So back here in the studio, the Holy War, Notre Dame, you know, it's been well documented. They've been scoring a lot of points with their guy at quarterback, Paul Bradvica. But they went on the road to San Bernardino, taking on their rival Aquinas. Let's go to those highlights right now up there in San Bernardino. We're going to start with the Titans in the action. As we mentioned, Polly Guaps and Notre Dame. All right, let's go to those highlights, Angel. Notre Dame and Aquinas. You know, we're all friends when it starts. It's all good. But this thing's going to heat up real fast between these two private school rivals. This goes back, I think Pete McGowan, the head coach at Notre Dame, said about 50 years. Hey, there's Polly Guaps. Breaks off a big run here to move the chains for the Titans. And that would set up this. My guy, Joe Pierrick. I almost beat him in a field goal contest. When I say almost, I mean not really. But 3-0, Notre Dame on top. And then Aquinas, they start moving the ball. The pass here, and the Falcons get a touchdown. And then later, Romero Flores, the big run for Aquinas, going for the paint, but he's finally pushed out of bounds right about the pylon, but they would punch it in a play later, 21-3. Aquinas on top in this one. If it ain't broke, you don't fix it. Give it back to Flores. On the ground, rips off another chunk of yardage. Number 1, moving the chains for Aquinas, and that would lead to this. Later on that drive from the doorstep, punches in the score. Aquinas led 28-3 at that point, and the Falcons go on to the victory, 28-10, your final score. So that brings us to a good point to talk about our fan poll question from last week. And last week it was, what is the best rivalry game in the inland area? And Angel, let's go ahead and roll that. We'll show the results from last week, and then we'll tell you about the question that's coming up for this week. And last week you can see Redlands, East Valley, and Rev 29% going with the Smudge Pot game, an overwhelming favorite. The War for the Wheel, 15%, 19% got others, so mixed bag there, but the Smudge Pot winning in this one. So this week, our question has been, which team has the best chance to remain undefeated? Well, apparently that was a jinx because Chaparral, Rubidoux, Yucaipa all lost tonight. Paloma Valley and Marietta Valley did win. We can tell you, though, going into it. 36% of the people thought Chaparral would stay undefeated, and Paloma Valley was trailing with 26%. So people, the fans had been voting the last couple of days, Chris, and they liked Chaparral. We all knew they'd have a tough test at Tesoro, and they did come up short tonight, but
Chaparral was in a battle royale, so was Ukaipan in overtime dandy with Beaumont, but whoa, Nelly, could we believe the score between Rubidoux and Taquitz? That was definitely a shocker.
And I think most of us in the newspaper went with Rubidoux because they were undefeated and looking great and scoring a lot of points.
I was expecting to see their running back, Daniel Young. I hadn't gotten a chance to see him in person yet. Of course, I went to the West Valley game first. I thought, hey, second half, maybe I'd see a little battle down to the finish between Rubidoux and Taquitz. Taquitz, a team that rebounded from a rough season last year, and definitely a statement win from them tonight. I definitely saw from Taquitz, their coach did remind me they did beat Rubidoux last year. It was a close game. It was about a 10-point game last year. This year, it was a no-doubter. Let's roll to the highlights. You're going to have to see it to believe it on this one. I rolled in early in the second half, and little did I see 29-0 was the score early in the third quarter, and that was just the beginning of the domination. Taquitz denying Rubidoux with the offensive strike. It's Tim Neely with the INT. Taquitz running game continues to punish. Derek Peters steamrolls the defense. I wish I could have slow-moed that one. Then wide receiver for Taquitz, Michael Stewart in motion. He runs in a rushing TD of his own. That is 36-0 in the Taquitz touchdown party. Taquitz would refuse to ease up on D, this time with the sack. It's Brandon Esperas making the pain happen down on Rubidoux. And yet another pick for Taquitz is not Notorious, but Mytorious Boyd with an INT off the Rubidoux pass. From there, Jonte Price cruises in with his fourth TD of the game. All Taquitz tonight. The Titans pound Rubidoux as they win 50-0. 50-0. I don't think anyone anywhere had that score coming into the game.
And you picked that game second on purpose because you started at West Valley.
Yeah, started at West Valley. You know, they were playing a visiting team from Blythe. Just kind of wanted to get a quick look at West Valley. They were impressive as well. We'll see those highlights early. Thought that Taquitz Rubidoux game, I mean, we know Rubidoux has had success the last couple yews. They did go to the playoffs last year. They had started out undefeated, as we saw in our little chart there. I mean, really, this game could have been considered fairly close on who was going to win. The surprising thing, though, I don't think anyone would have guessed a 50-0 shutout.
Yeah, it's quite a dominant win for Taquitz tonight. Now let's move on to West Valley.
Apparently, something was in the water in Hemet because they were racking up the points tonight. West Valley,
maybe.
They were playing Palo Verde. Now, don't confuse. They were from Palo Verde Valley of Blythe.
Football hotbed out there in Blythe.
Football hotbed. Well, I'm not sure once you see the highlights. West Valley was rolling from the start. Why? Because they were doing the Dougie. The Oompa Loompas were doing the Dougie out there, so they were pumped up during the game. Jordan Tabor, number 3, cashed it in for 7 points. It's 7-0 Mustangs trotting into the end zone. West Valley defense getting the job done as well. Kevin Headland with the INT. His mom missed that touchdown. She was getting photos. She asked me, could I put that on the HS Game Time live page? Well, there you go, Mom. And then yet another touchdown for Mike Cordova, connecting with James Giuliano. 14-0 now, West Valley. Back on D. One more from Mr. Sticky Hands. Kevin Headland, once again, his mom gets 2 INTs. Maybe she took him out for a Denny's Grand Slam after the game. Early second quarter, Mustangs cash in a field goal from Andrew Mendoza. 17-0 now, West Valley. All Mustangs tonight. One more TD from number 3, Jordan Tabor. West Valley, 37-0 would be the final score. They just dominate. Apparently, points were being thrown around like candy at a 5-year-old birthday party piñata tonight in Hemet because 37-0 and 50-0, it was a good time to be a Hemetian.
Yeah, except for Hemet, who got blanked at Moreno Valley, but 2 out of 3.
Yeah, 2 out of 3 is not bad. That would get the Louis Amistoy stamp of approval, I think.
That's right. All right, thanks, Chris. You will be back, but let's go to the big board right now, Angel, and check out some of the scores from tonight. As we mentioned, Moreno Valley, we had the highlights, didn't have the final score at the time, but 28-zip Moreno Valley is a winner against Hemet. A lot of shutouts tonight across the board. Arlington a winner by a shutout. Taquitz, as we mentioned, a shutout winner. And we're still chasing down that Redlands East Valley Dorsey score. And if the Wildcats haven't got that scoring yet, that's not a good sign. But we'll keep hunting for that one and bring that to you as soon as we get it. Couple other final scores coming in from on Twitter. Damien over Temescal Canyon, 31-10. Chino Hills over Great Oak, 41-20. And Rim of the World blasted Bishop, 62-19. All right, back here in the studio, a big honor for several of our high school football players who have been named to the Under Armour All-America game on January 4th in St. Petersburg, Florida at Tropicana Field. One of those is DeMaurier Stringfellow, the receiver from Rancho Verde, Marcus Baugh from North, and lineman Cameron Hunt from Centennial will also join him. But we caught up with DeMaurier at his celebration this past Thursday at Rancho Verde.
We're here this morning to celebrate the selection of DeMaurier Stringfellow to play in the Under Armour All-America football game.
At a very special presentation at Rancho Verde High School on Thursday morning, football star DeMaurier Stringfellow earned a spot in the 6th annual Under Armour All-America game January 4th at Tropicana Field in St. Petersburg, Florida. The game will be televised on ESPN. Stringfellow is one of 90 players in the entire country to be picked for this all-star game. He says he's following the footsteps of another Mustangs great, Ronald Powell.
It's great. It's great. I promised Ronald Powell that I was going to get out just as big as him. So, I'm trying to hold up to that.
So you guys had conversations like that?
Yeah, we did. My freshman year when everybody dropped in off the field and everybody was just all about Ronald. I wanted it so bad, so I worked hard towards it. He told me how to do it, and I just did it.
What did he tell you?
He just told me to work hard, to compete, and no matter what, don't give up. So.
All right.
And if you haven't noticed yet, HS Game Time is now on YouTube. We have our own YouTube channel, so all the shows we do are here at HS Game Time, and all the videos, the highlights that you have come to love, they're all on YouTube. Just search PEHS Game Time. You can find it all. And you can also, what's even better, is subscribe to us so you don't miss any of the action or any of the shows. Go ahead and subscribe to us on YouTube, and you can like us on Facebook and as well. We're on Twitter, so we're all over the place. All right, we've got more highlights. We're going to recycle through the highlights and scores when we come back. You're watching HS Game Time Live.
Reporting for the Press Enterprise and PE.com. I'm here in
And welcome back to HS Game Time Live. Time to jump back right into the highlights, and we're going to start with the Wood Road Rumble. Citrus Hill hosting King, the two schools just 2 miles apart, but they have never played until tonight. Angel, let's go to those highlights and remind everyone that all of tonight's action brought to you by Hemet Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, your hometown dealer. Check out their first anniversary sale. The two teams all fired up. It was neighbor versus neighbor in this one. The place was packed and electric early on. The Hawks moving the ball. Quarterback Trevor Hodge to his favorite target, KJ Young. And then later, it's getting late, almost time for bed. Time to slip into your PJs. PJ Walker, tough run in here, keeps moving the legs, and he's got the big gain for Citrus Hill. And then later in the first quarter, it's Hodge to KJ Young, and he'll do the rest. Right down the sideline, right there. 7-zip, Citrus Hill on top. Then King trying to get something going on offense. Dylan Holsey, who used to go to Citrus Hill. Look at that run there. Great run by Holsey for King. Now to the second quarter, same drive, but in the second quarter, Blake Bachman boots the field goal, gets King on the board, making it 7-3. Back comes Citrus Hill. Hodge to Young. And check out the moves by Young. Turns on the speed, shakes a defender there, and he is gone all the way to the paint. 78 yards, 14-3. Citrus Hill leading in this one. And the Hawks defense also came up with some big plays in the first half. We'll throw out a couple names. Look at that guy wrestling that bear in the middle of the crowd. What's up with that? There's no bears in this game. It's Wolves and Hawks. Anyways, Tony Yim, Marcel Barnes, and Melvin Williams all coming up with a stop there. Got a name drop there. And then later, King punting. Young back to receive. Goes one way. Looks like he's all bottled up, but he's going to shake loose, and he's coming back the other way. And as I said before, it's never good when a kicker has to make the tackle, and this one's going to end bad. Bang! Right over the kicker, and Young with the big return. We got to see it one more time. It's never good when the kicker has to get involved with the tackle. But you know what? He slowed him up, and he made the play, so congrats to Bachman on that. Later, Hodge trying to go for the end zone, and King coming up with a big defensive stand to keep the Hawks out of the end zone, but it wouldn't last for long. Next drive, it's Hodge to Justin Clarkston for the big gain, and then Hodge calls his own number on the keeper. That made it Citrus Hill 21, King 3 at the half, and Citrus Hill goes on to the victory against King, 49-10, your final score in the Wood Road Rumble. So back here in the studio, our HS Game Time rankings came out this week, and we catapulted Citrus Hill to number 3, just trailing Vista Marietta and Centennial Angel. Let's take a look at those rankings. And you can see those are going into Friday night. So Citrus Hill now 5-0 on the season. Vista Marietta also a winner tonight. So they improved to 4-0. Centennial also won. Chaparral did lose. But let's bear in mind Tesoro is a very good team. And they were playing on the road. Norco a winner. Carter a winner. Rev, we're still waiting for that score. Murrieta Valley a winner. That big win against Elsinore. Redlands a winner. And Summit still trying to track down that score as well. All right, back to the highlights, and as we told you, Chris was in here, and you had Taquitz. They were a big winner. West Valley was a big winner. But Hemet High School, not so much at Moreno Valley tonight. Let's go to those highlights. The Bulldogs on the road taking on the Vikings in this one. Hemet punting. Bulldogs, well, they will recover at the 6-yard line. The ball's bouncing around, and it's anyone's ball. Fair game, and the Bulldogs come up with it. But Moreno Valley would keep Hemet out of the end zone. His name is Nooney Nashia. And Nooney with the interception here and the nice return following. But one good interception deserves another. Hemet repays the favor. Garrett Denbaugh, the tip pass, and he's there for the INT for Hemet. Some big hits in this one. Moval's Seco Ania Palate. I hope I'm saying that right. Big hit there by number 2. And then how about Hemet's James Trinidad? He's going to lay a big hit here on the far sideline into the players there. Moreno Valley would score before halftime. Palate punches in the touchdown. That made it 7-zip. Moval. We're going to finish off the highlights with a Waki Suliafu. Big time hit. Moreno Valley tosses the shutout against Hemet. Your final score of 28-0. All right, the highlights roll on at RCC. North hosting Rancho Cucamonga. Rancho Cucamonga, one of the top teams in the Inland Division. But North, they had Marcus Baugh back in the lineup, and he played a big part. But could they knock off Rancho Cucamonga? Let's go to those highlights. And there's Marcus Baugh wearing number 7. Good to see him back. He had a concussion, and then we were told he wasn't. He had maybe like the flu or a bit of sickness, but he's back. Hauls in that catch there. Good to see Bob back on the field, and he'll be honored as a Under Armour All-American next week. And then later, how about some North defense? Shaquille Jones, the real deal Shaquille, the interception for the Huskies. And North on offense, quarterback Joseph Garcia rolls out, hits Tavita Samuelu. He goes in for the score, and North is on the board first, 7-zip. But Rancho Cucamonga, they are good, and they would battle back. Their quarterback, Adam Fredrickson, to Chris Hawkins, and for the score, that ties the game at 7 apiece. And Rancho Cucamonga wins a close one with the Huskies. Your final score of 17-14. Now moving on, Notre Dame taking on Aquinas, and it's the Holy War. And head coach Pete McGowan said it goes back about 50 years or so. So these two schools, know what it's like to have a big-time rivalry. Let's go to those highlights up in San Bernardino. And there's the two guys, and they're all getting along. It's all fun and games in the beginning before it gets too heated between these big-time rivals, as we mentioned. Early on, it's Polly Guaps. Paul Bradvica. Looks like he's got a little visor in his helmet, too. That's pretty cool. Bradvica, big gain there, calls his own number on the keeper, and that sets up my boy, Joe Pierrick. Bang! Boots it right through. He's got the field goal, 3-zip Notre Dame. Aquinas, though, they go to the air, and they go in for the touchdown strike. And the Falcons getting it done through the air, but they can also get it done on the ground as well. Romero Flores, he's going to take this one all the way down to the pylon, and they would punch in the touchdown, and that made it 21-3, Aquinas on top in the big rivalry game. They go back to Flores, little draw play. He's going to take this one, big chunk of yardage here by one of the Aquinas captains. Big run there by Flores, and then later on that drive from the doorstep, knock, knock, I'm home. Flores punches it in from the doorstep. That made it 28-3. And Aquinas hangs on to win this one against Notre Dame in the Holy War. Final score of 28-10. All right, that was one of the games tonight. Let's go back to the big board, show you some of those scores in case you're just joining us. And we told you, Santiago and Upland, wow, what a game there. It looked like Santiago might have had the game-winning touchdown, but the Sharks come up just short, 45-41, your final score. Still tracking down that Redlands East Valley score. Dying to hear how the Wildcats did on the road at Dorsey. We'll get that one to you as soon as we get it. Murrieta Valley still undefeated, 39-8. Cajon and Corona, and the Cowboys win 34-28. So we're trying to get those highlights on the show tonight. If not tonight, as I said, definitely on Saturday for the scouting reports. Back here in the studio, we're going to take a quick break for the highlights, but for a very good reason. You can say Marcus French is a true warrior on the Patriot Warriors football team. Now, in 2010, right after Thanksgiving, French got word that he had cancer, and instead of sulking, French said, you know what, I'm going to come back, I'm going to play football, even though the doctors told him, you know what, there's a good chance you'll never touch the field again. But French used that as motivation. He did his chemotherapy, and he's now through 1 year of remission. And here's the story we had on Patriots, Marcus French. Patriot Warriors running back Marcus French is a true warrior. Doctors diagnosed French with cancer the weekend after Thanksgiving in 2010. Less than 2 years later, French is back on the football field.
Yeah, I'm back. They said that I would never play football again, and I didn't really want to. I was down on myself actually, and I just believed and I thought I'd come back and play.
French refused to give up and won the fight with his type of cancer.
Rhabdomyosarcoma, it's a muscle cancer.
French is now nearly out of remission.
The remission is about a year long. I'm still in remission. It ends like in 2 weeks.
Oh, okay.
Actually, that's September 20th.
Patriot head football coach Eric Hammond has been at French's side every step of the way.
Marcus and I have a very close relationship. When he was my freshman tailback is when he got diagnosed with cancer. And we did a fundraiser for him, and him and I have been really close, and I couldn't be more proud of the kid. He works so hard. He's got a great work ethic, and him to be back on the field means the world to me and the world to our entire Warrior family. And we know he's going to give us all he's got. He missed a year of football. He was chomping at the bit to get back out here, and he's going to give us everything he's got. We know that.
And I just kept fighting and stuff. Like after chemo, I was just like going to practice and practicing and stuff, and then putting it all out on the field.
French says the game of football played a big part in his battle with cancer.
It helped me get my mind off of things and what was going on, and just helped me, and I'm glad that I'm part of this team.
Does it make you appreciate maybe football a little bit more?
Yeah, it actually makes me appreciate a lot of things more, and I'm glad just to be out here, because a lot of kids actually don't get the opportunity to be out here.
Great to see Marcus French back on the football field. And great to see Chris Erickley back here in the studio with back from Hemet. How'd it go out there?
I took the tour of Hemet. At least I went to Taquitz and West Valley, and it was a party at both
Came back with some
locations.
winners.
Yeah, it was a dandy, as I like to say, on both occasions. We begin with Taquitz, Rubidoux Taquitz, a game that we thought could be one that would come down to the wire. There was a couple games that came down to the wire tonight, but that would not be one. Taquitz would be the host, and they would not be a very nice host to Rubidoux. Let's roll to the highlights I got there. Beginning of the third quarter, 29-zip Titans already, and we're not talking Notre Dame Titans. We're talking Taquitz Titans. They go with the pick. Tim Neely, the man of the hour for Taquitz with the interception. Taquitz running game continues to punish. Derek Peters going steamroll. He hit his Wheaties before the game. Taquitz continues to cash in. Wide receiver Michael Stewart in motion. He runs in the rushing TD. Titan TD number 5. It's a touchdown party, 36-0. Taquitz would refuse to ease up on D as they continue to attack the Rubidoux line as Brandon Esperas gets the sack. Yet another pick for Taquitz. It's not notorious, but mytorious Boyd with the INT off the tip pass. From there, Jonte Price, he would be the man of the day on the offensive side for Taquitz. His 4th TD of the game. Taquitz, the king of Hemet tonight as they win 50-0 over Rubidoux. Definitely Shock City, a game that, a lot of us had Rubidoux winning that game. Only one guy, he just arrived in the building. Dennis Pope had Taquitz winning that game. Rubidoux had been impressive, undefeated. But
what did Pope know? He had some inside information, it sounds like, on Taquitz.
Taquitz, yes. They were confident. I was talking to them on the sideline. They reminded me quickly that they had beaten Rubidoux last year, but definitely they did not have quite the season last year that they have had this season. This year, especially with a win like that, a statement win to say the least.
Rubidoux still enjoying a great season despite the loss. Then you were at West Valley taking on that hotbed of football talent, right?
I actually made it out to West Valley. It was homecoming night. So take a look. They had a little dance party going on. The Oompa Loompas doing the Dougie. Whoa, Nelly, it's a party Hemet style. And Jordan Tabor puts the Mustangs touchdown party, gets it going 7-0. His rushing touchdown into the end zone. West Valley defense would be getting the job done as well. Kevin Headland, his mom was messing around with her camera. She missed this one. I told her we'd put it on. I got it. I got the pick. West Valley cashes in as Mike Cordova airs it out to James Giuliano for yet another Mustang TD, 14-0 West Valley. Back on D, one more for Mr. Sticky Hands. Kevin Headland getting headstrong with another pick, his 2nd of the game for the linebacker. Now early second quarter, Mustangs would cash in off that INT with the field goal from Andrew Mendoza, 17-0. The lead for West Valley. All Mustangs tonight. One more TD from Jordan Tabor as West Valley takes homecoming in style with the 37-0 victory. Something in the water tonight, Pep, I said, and it was whatever was in the water. I think it had a little boost of offense because those guys were rocking and rolling both West Valley and Taquitz.
I have a theory. Maybe you were the good luck charm.
Apparently,
for the Hemet schools.
I mean, Louis Amistoy, he always likes to say that I don't give enough love to Hemet, but tonight apparently Hemet was loving me. That's for sure, and I'm loving them back. It was a highlight dream. Everywhere I turned, I pretty much pressed the record button, and there was another highlight.
That's awesome. All right, thanks, Chris. Let's go back to the big scoreboard. Some of the scores from tonight in Week 4. That's a long, hot trip back to Blythe for Palo Verde Valley. Nice win by West Valley tonight. Still trying to chase down that Redlands East Valley score. If you have it, hit us up on Facebook or Twitter. Love to know how those Wildcats did tonight. And as we mentioned, Chaparral coming up just short at Tesoro, 17-14. Tough one for the Pumas. Santiago, Bill Brooks on Twitter telling us that Michael Darr almost punched in the game-winning score. They ruled him down at the 6-inch line, and Santiago nearly with that big win over there. All right, coming back here as the highlights roll on. Once again, the Wood Road Rumble. That was our highlight game of the night as King and Citrus Hill battled. The two schools just separated by 2 miles. They had never played, though, until tonight. Let's check out those highlights. And those highlights, as well as everything tonight, brought to you by Hemet Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, your hometown dealer. Check out their first anniversary sale and buy a new car. Or two. Buy me a new car, in fact. I'd love to get one of those Chryslers out there. That place was packed. Citrus Hill, King fans didn't have a long trip to make to check out this game. And early on, Trevor Hodge moving the ball, finds KJ Young, and then it's almost bedtime. It's time to slip into some PJs. PJ Walker, the nice run here, moving the legs, moves the chains, more importantly, for Citrus Hill. And then later on that drive, Hodge to KJ Young, and he'll do the rest. Down the sideline he goes, right there, and in for the score, 7-zip Citrus Hill. King looking to battle back, and they've got the former Citrus Hill guy, Dylan Holsey. That's a nice run there to move the chains for the Wolves. And then same drive, but now in the second quarter, Blake Bachman boots the field goal. That makes it a 7-3 game. Now it's Hodge going back to his favorite target, Young, and Young will do the rest on this one. Turns on the Jets, beats that man there, and he is gone all the way to the paint. I think it was about 78 yards. Maybe Miriam can correct me. I'm sure she keeps very astute scores in there, very detailed. But it was 14-3. And what was that guy doing with that bear? Look at that guy. Do you see him in the crowd? Why is there a bear even there? It was Wolves and Hawks. I just don't get it. Anyways, Holsey on the carry. But let's throw out some names, do some name dropping. Tony M., Marcel Barnes, Melvin Williams, all on the stop there for Citrus Hill. Now it's King punting. Young is going to field this one. Goes one way. Looks to be corralled by the Wolves. Nothing doing. He turns it back the other way. And I've said this before. It's never good when the kicker has to get involved. And this one's going to end bad. Really bad. Bang! Right over the kicker. But give him credit. You know what? He's actually the guy who stopped Young from taking this one back to the house. And it would pay off because 4th down, they were going for it. And the King defense would turn them away. So Blake Bachman saved him 7 points right there. But the Hawks would get the ball back before halftime, and Hodge has them moving once again. That's Justin Clarkston hauling in the catch, and then Hodge on the keeper. That makes it 21-3 at halftime, and Citrus Hill goes on to win the Wood Road Rumble, 49-10, the final score. All right, Miriam Swanson joining us now. And Miriam, you were at the game. Wow, KJ Young, he really did it all for him tonight, didn't he?
Yeah, if I was going to draft high school players for like a fantasy team, would definitely go for the Hodge Young hookup.
You're not supposed to take receivers, early on, but you would take.
I would take Hodge and then make sure I'd get that hookup going because those guys are money.
Fair enough. All right, so Citrus Hill, we've got him at number 3 in the rankings, only behind Centennial and Vista Marietta, and they look good tonight. But King's much improved. I mean, I was you might not tell by the score, but I was impressed by the Wolves tonight. How about you?
They had good energy, good effort. It's actually Dylon, even though it looks like Dylan.
Is it Dylon?
Yeah.
Dylon Holsey.
So now we know.
Now we D-Y-L-A-N. Maybe everyone else is just saying it wrong, and it's been Dylon, Bob Dylan. It's Bob Dylon.
Exactly. Yeah.
Anyways, but so Citrus Hill, what happened in the second half? I had to take off at halftime.
Kind of like what happened in the first half.
What you saw in the first half.
It was more of that.
Just translated to the second half.
Although King had a nice, they had a 25-yard or so touchdown pass to
Brett Hollingsworth to
let
me guess, Kendall Moore?
Nope.
No,
to.
See, look at all your stats. I knew you kept good stats during the game.
To number 80. Oh my God, I'm sorry, number 80. Makeen Farha.
Farha, of course.
It's a cool name.
So 49-10 was the final score in that one. And did you catch up with Coach Zomalt or any of the guys after the game?
Yeah, they were smiling wide.
Were they?
They were happy guys.
Well, going into it, they didn't say it was a rivalry game. They just said it was another game. But we were there for a live pregame show, and the two sides, the two teams met at midfield, and they were jumping around and screaming and all fired up. Didn't look like a normal game to me, did it you?
No, it wasn't a normal game. No. They all lied.
Yeah.
But I kind of knew they were lying. So, but hey, to the kids' credit, they said what they were supposed to say.
Yeah.
They were mature about it.
No bulletin board material.
No, they would carry themselves like you're supposed to carry themselves. Like they were supposed to carry themselves. So, I'm not mad at them. It's okay.
Well, hopefully they'll keep this going in the future and really build this rivalry.
Yeah. Well, they're gonna do it again next year for sure. And then
at King, I suppose.
And King if King keeps getting better, then that's a good thing for it. Although Zomalt doesn't want to call it a rivalry, right? So
not yet.
No.
I think someone said it was him, but it was someone earlier in this week told me as well that to make it a rivalry, the other team has to win as well to make it a rivalry. So
well, they're 1-0. So.
Right. There's only one game. So all right, thank you, Miriam.
Yeah,
I appreciate it. All right, let's go back to the highlights, and we're going to pick it up with North taking on Rancho Cucamonga down there at RCC. And as I mentioned, it's great to see Marcus Baugh back in the lineup. He had a concussion, then he was not feeling so well, but he was back there and catching passes. There he is, Baugh early in this game, hauling in that pass down the sideline. And then how about some North High defense in this one? The Huskies coming up with the interception. That's the real deal, Shaquille Jones with the pick. And then North goes on offense. Quarterback Joseph Garcia rolls out. He hits Tavita Samuilu, who goes in for the touchdown, and North is on the board first, 7-0. But Rancho Cucamonga, they would strike back. They're one of the top teams in the Inland Division this season. Quarterback Adam Fredrickson to Chris Hawkins for the score. That ties the game at 7 apiece, and this one would be close all the way to the finish as Rancho Cucamonga escapes North High at RCC by a final score of 17-14. All right, moving on with the highlights. Another big rivalry game, kind of, I guess, like the Wood Road Rumble, but it's the Holy War, Notre Dame and Aquinas. And head coach Pete McGowan told Miriam Swanson earlier this week this rivalry goes back about 50 years. Let's go to those highlights. Angel, up there in San Bernardino, these two private school rivals, Notre Dame and Aquinas. Oh, you know, they're all buddies. It's all friends before they start the kickoff, and then things get heated between the Falcons and the Titans. And early on in this one, it's my guy, Paulie Guaps, Paul Bradvica, with the visor in his helmet, moving the chains. The nice run there for the Titans. And that would set up this. Joe Pierrick, one of the top kickers in the nation, boots the field goal for 3 points for the Titans. And then later, Aquinas, they would battle back. The touchdown strike here for the Falcons. They like to go to the air. And they've got a good one in Romero Flores. He's one of the captains. Check out this run after the catch, all the way down to the pylon. And Aquinas would punch it in right after here, and that would make it 21-3 at that point. If it ain't broke, you don't fix it. Give the ball back to Flores on this carry off the draw. Picks up a good chunk of yardage for Aquinas. And then later on that same drive, that would set up this. Another touchdown plunge from the doorstep. Aquinas goes on to win by a final score of 28-10. Columnist Jim Alexander now joining us, who is I should note, a Notre Dame alum, correct?
Correct, and I must take issue with your equivalency of the Wood Road Rumble with the Holy War.
Not quite as much tradition behind that one.
Not nearly.
That's fair enough.
Not nearly.
Fair enough. But Notre Dame, was it even close, or was that score not indicative of what really happened?
Close for a little while. Notre Dame had the ball inside the 10 and got no points out of it. That didn't help. But Aquinas, they're very good. I mean, Pete McGowan, Notre Dame's coach, described it thusly: they play smash mouth football. And they kept it on the ground, mixed in a few passes. Romero Flores had 148 yards and 20 carries, and also had 2 catches, scored once. They had four different guys score touchdowns, and so they've got some balance, and that's sort of that old Fontana High template that Chris Ibarra has inherited from Nick Matheny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Matheny now at
Fontana.
High, yeah. What was the atmosphere like? Was it pretty packed? I mean, did Notre Dame travel well?
It was packed. Notre Dame traveled very well. There's not a whole lot in terms of bleachers on the visitors' side. And I saw one note this afternoon, somebody suggesting, I think it was on Facebook, somebody suggesting, bring a folding chair because there's not many bleachers. But yeah, Notre Dame packed its side, Aquinas packed its side, and it was a pretty spirited atmosphere.
Did you give him a pep talk, being a Notre Dame guy?
No. And you notice I was not wearing green and gold. I was color neutral tonight. So I am a Notre Dame alum, and as I mentioned in the column, which is on PE.com, and it'll be in the paper tomorrow morning. Full disclosure, I'm upfront about it, but we cover both teams, and Aquinas just handed their hats to him tonight.
And Jim, before you go, give us the gist of the column we'll see in Saturday's Press Enterprise.
Well, basically, it's about the rivalry and sort of about the fact that really these are two similar institutions. Small Catholic schools, diocesan schools, and the one thing that I don't like is that they're not in the same league. I mean, they used to be in the same league, and when you're in the same league, a rivalry really takes off.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not only playing for pride and bragging rights. There's first place or playoff spots or keeping the other team out of the playoffs. I mean, there's tangible things that you're playing for, and they don't have that. I mean, a rivalry should be in November. It shouldn't be in the 3rd, 4th week of September. And so that's sort of my feeling and what I expressed in the column, that these teams should be in the same league. There is more about them that's similar than is different. And the fact that you've got one that now is going to drop down when its league starts, and the other is going to be playing up and is going to be playing against schools 3 and 4 times its size.
Yeah.
With all the releaguing and all the things that go into putting teams in various leagues, I would hope that at some point there's a way to get Notre Dame and Aquinas back together in the same league, because it would be good for the rivalry and it would be good for both schools.
Oh, how great would it be to see them playing, let's say, Week 10 with a league title on the line and rivals and
Oh, absolutely.
all that.
Absolutely. That's the way it used to be. Well, no, I won't talk about
Back in your day.
back in the day when dinosaurs still roamed the earth.
All right, thank you, Jim. I appreciate it. Check it out. Look for his column on Saturday in the Press Enterprise. Angel, back to the big board, my friend. Let's check out some of the scores from Week 4 of the high school football season. Gosh, did Redlands East Valley, are they in like quadruple overtime or what? Because we're still trying to chase down that score at Dorsey on the road. If you're on Facebook or Twitter, please hit us up. The hashtag is HSGTFB, Redlands East Valley at Dorsey. Beaumont and Yucaipa, 43-41. Beaumont is a winner in overtime as the Thunderbirds suffer their first loss of the season. Vista Murrieta, it was a close one with Cathedral Catholic. A couple big plays late propelled the Broncos to a 21-10 victory. As we mentioned, Santiago could have had the upset at Upland, 45-41. They come up just short, as did Chaparral at Tesoro, 17-14, your final score. All right, back over here in the HS Game Time Lounge, as we mentioned, Cajon and Corona, great game there. We've got some video that will make the Saturday scouting report, but even better, EPJ was there. So EPJ, Cajon, did they surprise some people beating Corona like that?
Yeah, I think it was, a little bit of surprising there. Cajon, their star quarterback, DeJuan Brooks, hasn't played the last 2 weeks because of an ankle injury. So they decided to scrap their normal spread offense and go to their kind of fallback offense, their double wing offense. And now Coach Kim Batten's basically saying, this might be our best offensive option. They ran for 355 yards tonight against Corona. So Keonta Washington and Wesley Hill, just too much for Corona. They didn't make a real strong defensive stop until the fourth quarter. But a dramatic ending. Corona thought they had the game-winning touchdown on a 65-yard halfback option pass.
Oh, man.
But the yardage got cut in half because of blocking the back downfield. And then,
time just ran out on them? Or?
Well, it came down to a fourth down, and I'm blanking. Let me get the kid's name here because he kind of deserves it on fourth down. Cajon's.
Cajon came up with a big
Michael
stop.
Sandoval got an interception right near the goal line, so that kind of ended those comeback hopes there. But yeah, very impressive win for Cajon.
So maybe this Cowboys team is not the same team as you're saying that we saw start the season that lost so big at home against Chaparral. They looked better.
They're very big up front, and some really big offensive linemen, and Coach Batten just believes that might be our strength. We can lean on people. We could do well when things are kind of compact, and that double wing offense takes advantage of those big linemen. So what that means when DeJuan Brooks comes back could be interesting because he's a good thrower and a good runner, but they just might have to try to find a new way to use him in the offense.
Got the Corona hat right here, although they did lose. But let me ask you this, moving forward, look into your crystal ball, and Cajon now moving to the Citrus Belt League. Redlands East Valley, maybe a little vulnerable. I don't know. Redlands, though, they've got some good skill position guys. How do you see Cajon kind of fitting in the CBL?
I think they'll make it. You got to look at. I think Redlands and Rev are kind of the two teams that are going to battle for the top. But you're going to have Yucaipa and Cajon, maybe Miller right in that mix as well. So I think it could be an interesting run. I think Cajon, they're going to be running an offense that a lot of these other teams aren't going to be familiar with. The double wing is a very frustrating offense to go up against defensively. And if you run it well, you can really control games and you can control the clock. So if they decide to stick with this and just say, this is our identity now, they could really, frustrate some teams and maybe make the playoffs.
It's new look Cajon. Watch out for them in the Citrus Belt League. Thank you, EPJ. Appreciate it. All right, the highlights roll on with Hemet on the road at Moreno Valley. We told you out of the Hemet schools, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. West Valley won. Taquitz with a huge win against Rubidoux. Let's go to those highlights. Angel, Hemet on the road at Moval. The Bulldogs punting. Moval back to receive. The ball's going to bounce around, and it's fair game. Anybody can land on it, and there's the Bulldogs down about the 6-yard line. And they would not capitalize, though, because the Vikings come up with a big defensive play. His name is Nuni Nashia, the interception and the return for the Vikes. And then one good interception deserves another. Garrett Denbaugh, the pick off the tip pass for Hemet. And a lot of big hits in this one, a physical game. Check out Seiko Ania Palate on that big hit for Mo Val. And then James Trinidad for the Bulldogs. He's going to repay the favor on the far sideline. Bang! Into the Bulldogs players on there on the side. Mo Val would score before halftime. That's Palate punching in the touchdown, making it 7-0. And that would be more than enough for them tonight. We'll finish up the highlights with a Waki Suliafu big hit as Moreno Valley goes on to blank Hemet 28-0, your final score. So Hemet a loser at Moreno Valley, but the other Hemet schools a winner, Chris.
I guess Hemet didn't get the memo that tonight was a touchdown party because West Valley...
At least for you, right?
Yeah, well, West Valley and Taquitz had a fever, and the only prescription was more touchdowns. And we'd see that from Taquitz. I went out to that game second because I thought it would be a competitive game. And
sure, in the second
let's
half.
roll to the video. We'll see the score at the early third quarter when I got to the game. Whoa, Nelly, 29-0 with almost 11 minutes left in the third quarter. They would not ease up. It's Tim Nelly. Andale, Nelly. Neely is his name, not Nelly. With the interception. Taquitz running game continues to bring the pain from there. The steamroller, Derek Peters. Take no prisoners. Steamrolling ahead, and his buddy, the wide receiver, Michael Stewart, in motion, running in with the rushing TD. 36-0 is the score right now, mid-third quarter. Taquitz would refuse to ease up on D. The sack party gets involved now. Brandon Asparas with the sack. And from there, yet another pick for the secondary of Taquitz. Mytorius Boyd with the interception off the tip pass. Jonte Price. The price will be right tonight. 4 touchdowns for number 21. Get him on your fantasy roster. 50-0 would be the final score. Taquitz over Rubidoux. Dennis Pope, the only man for HSGT that picks games that had that one tonight. He's in the building right now. Even he could not believe it when he heard the final score on that one.
I will never pick against Taquitz again. Mark my word.
Yeah, Taquitz, they were bold. They were confident. They ate their Wheaties. They did just about everything. Apparently, whatever they did before the game should be the formula for success. West Valley, another
they did
team.
the same thing.
Yeah,
then,
West Valley, let's roll to their highlights. They had homecoming. They were putting on a little dance party of their own, Oompa Loompa style. Where's Willy Wonka? No Willy Wonka, but Jordan Tabor going with the special secret Willy Wonka style 7-0 touchdown. West Valley defense getting the job done as well. Kevin Headland, his mom missed that touchdown on the photography, but I said, hey, I got it on video. From there, the other one I got is Mike Cordova airing it out to James Giuliano for yet another Mustang touchdown. 14-0 West Valley back on D. One more for Mr. Sticky Hands, making his mom proud. Kevin Headland with yet another interception. Early second quarter, that would set up this field goal for the Mustangs. Andrew Mendoza cashing it in. 17-0. All Mustangs tonight. Homecoming. I'm sure a few of the guys on the team will be getting dates for the big dance tomorrow night after they danced right through Palo Verde Valley. 37-0 would be the final score. Jordan Tabor there with his second touchdown of the game. And it was good times for at least West Valley and Taquitz tonight. How dare we pick against Taquitz?
Not so much for the Bulldogs at Moreno Valley.
But definitely 2 out of 3. Can't complain.
Got a nice little Hemet block of football coming up on the Saturday scouting report.
Very good. The people of Hemet will not be disappointed. They always do come out and support.
They do.
We might even get a few people in Bakersfield, I'm guessing.
We might get some views. We'll have to check that out. How many people from the Central Valley are going to be watching those highlights? And there is some interest there in Bakersfield. All right, thank you, Chris. One more time, let's go to the big board from the scores from Week 4 of the season. And take a look at those scores, and let me remind you about the Saturday scouting report as you look at those scores. And we're going to have a ton more highlights tomorrow on Saturday. Let me just run down the list of the games that we're expecting. Rancho Verde at Valley View, Canyon Springs at Poly, Cajon at Corona, Murrieta Valley, Elsinore, Temecula Valley, Paloma Valley, Hemet Moreno Valley, Rancho Cucamonga North, which you saw, Rubidoux Taquitz, Palo Verde Valley at West Valley, King at Citrus Hill, the Wood Road Rumble, Arlington Vista del Lago, Notre Dame Aquinas, the Holy War, and we're also hoping to get some Chaparral at Tesoro video. So we've got a big Saturday show planned for you. Those are some of the scores, and you'll get all your highlights on Saturday. Back here in the studio, just one more reminder that we're on Facebook, we're also on Twitter, and more importantly, we're on YouTube now. So go to the HS Game Time YouTube channel and please subscribe to us, and you won't miss any of the videos, any of the action, because we're doing a lot of football shows this season, as well as the non-football sports with the HS Game Time Roundup, and we'll send you updates of when new videos and new shows are being populated to the HS Game Time channel. All right, thank you for joining us tonight on HS Game Time Live. We will be back on Saturday. Check back about 2 o'clock for the scouting report, and we'll have highlights from about a dozen high school football games. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you again on HS Game Time Live next Friday night.